What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends very soon at the end of March. Anyways, as far as the market's going, SPY is doing a good job of making higher lows, are favoring an attempts to push to fill this gap right now, unless we start losing some key support. So I'll talk about these levels in just a couple of minutes. Let's go over some news and data first. So today is Thursday. We just got the GDP numbers. GDP growth was at 2.3% quarter over quarter, which is still technically very close to expectations, just a little bit short, not too bad. And then GDP prices, this is the GDP price index, is at 2.2%. This is also very close to expectations, not too bad. I would say the growth rate's a little bit short though. So, it's in the middle. The market is not reacting too negatively. So it's going to be fine despite this data coming out like this. Initial jobless claims is also at 207,000, below expectations, but still, like I said before, the market remains in the green despite this. It's not really hurt by this. So that's a pretty good sign, at least thus far. So that being said, we also have this data right here. Just know we had big tech earnings yesterday. 3 of them are in the green, and then 1 of them is in the red, which is Microsoft. So we'll see if Microsoft could base or not. Today is Thursday. We have a UPS, which just announced earnings. Then after market close, we have Aapl and Intel. Apple's going to be a big one, causing a lot more volatility. Now, unfortunately, UPS did see the share price drop because we saw their net income at $1.72 billion with a $2.01 EPS. That is technically, below expectations. Not the best, although their revenue is still close to expectations. But the reason why the share price is down is because of this. Their revenue outlook is below estimates. 2025, they're expecting about $89 billion. That is below the expectation of $95 billion. So not bad whatsoever. I would still say it's not the worst, but at the end of the day, it's not really meeting investor expectations. That's why the share price is dumping. Hopefully they do better next quarter. Anyways, looking at Tesla, I just want to say that Tesla's getting a lot of big ratings right now. Tesla was very optimistic about their AI advancements and the unleashing of their unsupervised FSD in Texas and then other areas of California in the next upcoming months. So it's very, very optimistic news. There's a lot of these analysts who are expecting $500 by the end of the year. Some are saying 430, looking at Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas. But then there's one rating from UPS saying that Tesla is going to likely, it has a sell rating, and they're saying that it's going to likely tip to about 259 a share. Most of the analysts are expecting $400 to $500 though, which is not bad. So it's still more bullish. As far as the market goes, we got Jerome Powell and the Fed give us some important news. It's not really affecting the market too much. They just paused, and Powell just said the same things he typically says. Now we're going to be watching to see the market's reaction, at least moving forward. So, with that being said, what do I see for SPY and the others? Well, SPY is doing a good job, and the reason for that is because we had a big wick here, right? Since Monday, excuse me, we were making higher lows, and we're basing above our EMAs very, very nicely. So typically when this happens, you want to see this continue to push higher to fill this gap up here. This is what the trend is suggesting. Now, if SPY hypothetically loses 602, we're looking for 600 as the main support near our 50 EMA. If that fails us, this will be dipping a lot more towards 595. So make sure you watch that just to be safe. If we, however, break past this resistance at this 604 area and we hold above 604, I think we're going to be favoring a push into like the 607 to 608 area, or very close to all-time highs, to fill this gap above. As of right now, the trend is making higher lows, so we favor a push towards 607, eventually the 610s. We look bullish on SPY, so we'll see if this continues. So watch your levels just to be safe, but for now, I think we're doing a fantastic job. On the QQQ, we're making higher lows so far. We have a gap to fill up here around that 529 area. If we were to lose 520 flat, we could be dipping back down to 518 and then 515. But for now, what's good about the QQQ is that it's just like SPY. We're starting to fill this gap here, and we're just basing making these higher lows, which is a good sign. Typically, when this happens, you want to be looking for a continuation higher, and hopefully we do eventually come up to fill this gap. A big factor that could dictate this is going to be Nvidia and Apple, so we'll see if those help this thing really push. So as long as we don't lose like 520 to 518, I think we favor upside on the QQQ. If we hold above 523, I'm looking for that attempts to fill the gap. We look a bit more bullish, but we'll see just to be safe. Notice that the IWM Russell 2000 is more bullish looking. If we were to lose 227.5, I'd be looking for that gap fill back down towards like the closer to the 226s. But as long as we're above that, I think we're favoring. We want to go back up closer to about 229. 229 flat and eventually 230. Looks bullish as we're breaking past resistance. And we're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO, which typically favors upside. So it's doing a good job so far. On ES, I like it. I like the fact that we had this big green bar. We're making higher lows, another higher low. As long as we don't lose this low at 60.68 and 60.33, if we lose these lows, we will turn back down. So keep that in mind. If we hold above 60.68 and we break this high here at 6100, we're going to easily go up to the 6120s or higher in this range. So let's see if we could break past 6100 and start pumping more. If we lose 60.68, we turn back down, but I'm favoring upside even more for a much larger push. For NQ has this big gap to fill around the 21,875 area. We have this bottoming structure right here at 20,760. We're making higher lows, so this is actually a pretty good sign so far. If we lose 21,500, we're looking for a dip back down to about the 21,400s. As long as we're above this, we do favor an attempt to push up to fill this gap, which I think could take us up to about 21,800. So I favor the upside move at least for now. I think we're doing a great job, so keep that in mind. For Bitcoin's making a good move, making higher lows right now. I think there's a good chance we try to continue this trend. We're looking at the support right here at 103,500. Could dip here before it tries to bounce, so we'll watch and see if that ends up being the case. For Nvidia, it's looking pretty decent because what's good about it is it's trying to form a base, and that's what's very important. I mentioned before I'm not worried about it bouncing, and I just want to see if it could hold support. So we dumped right after the DeepSeek news, just like this, and then what happened was we formed this higher low right here. So as long as we hold this higher low, we could slowly try to inch our way back up to about 132 plus and look a lot more bullish. But if we lose the 120 area, I'm going to be a little concerned. I'll be watching these lows here. As long as it holds above 120, it's going to likely bounce. So let's see if Nvidia could hold support. There's potential in this. Tesla's looking optimistic, but it hasn't broken resistance yet. So the thing about Tesla is this. We have this yellow trend line we rejected off of it. We're testing it right now as I speak. So if we reject off this, we're turning back down to below 395. If we break through this, we easily push to the 420s in my opinion, or above. So we got to break this trend line of resistance for Tesla to really start pushing. We'll see if Tesla could achieve that or not. Hopefully we break and start pushing for the 420s. Give it the time it needs. For Aapl, inverse head and shoulders setup. If we break past 240, we're looking for a continuation higher. We have a left shoulder here. This is our head. And this could be our right shoulder. So we'll see if we break past 240 to really start pushing for 246. If we lose 236, we dip down to 233. So hopefully we break out with the inverse head and shoulder setup. For coin, it's right over here. Coin's looking a bit more bullish. We do have a gap to fill below, so it might come down first before it tries to bounce. If we do something like this, it would be completely healthy. We still want to get up to about 300 as resistance to fill that gap. So it could dip and bounce. So we'll see how things end up going. For Amazon, we're in a range between 235 as support, not to mention 231. And we have resistance at 240. So I think what's going to likely happen is we kind of dip a little bit and then we consolidate before we see an attempt to bounce higher. That's what I'm going to be looking for on Amazon. As long as we don't lose 231, I think we're going to be completely fine. We might see some consolidation in this range. Meta is bullish. It's continuing to break out. It's even up in the after hours. The pre-markets technically. We're looking for 700 to be retested. We'll see if we break it or not. It's going to be a new psychological level as we're at all-time highs. So watch 700 and see what kind of reaction we get on it. For Microsoft, a little bearish looking. Just be careful with this. We'll see if 420 holds. If not, we could be dipping back down to the 415 area. And I want to see it base. I want to see it hold support to see if it could bounce or not. So watch that very closely just to see how things end up going. For Google, if we end up losing 197, we're looking for a dump back down towards like 195. As long as we hold this, we could attempt to push up higher for 200. So let's see if we could hold above 198 at the very least. As long as we're above that, I'm looking for a gap fill to 201 plus or above, so it looks a bit more bullish. The VIX still has this gap to fill below, so we'll see which way the VIX goes. But honestly, guys, the market, especially SPY, is favoring upside a bit more. We're trying to break 604. As long as we hold above that, I'm looking for that gap fill. As of right now, we look like we're slowly inching our way higher. Unless we lose key support, that's what I'm favoring. So that being said, market's looking bullish. I want to thank you all so much for listening, so please have a good rest of your day. I'll be back with another update in just a couple of hours. Until then, I just wish you all the best, and thank you all so much for listening. Have a good one, guys, and peace out.